Access your free language gifts of the month right now. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Being Funny conversation cheat sheet. Want to be able to tell jokes in your target language or tell someone how funny or unfunny they are? You will with this brand new cheat sheet. Second, all the language you need for everyday life. Get all of our best conversation cheat sheets rolled up into one with this gift. Download it right now before it disappears. Third, must-know book vocabulary. If you love reading and want to talk about books, then this next 1-minute lesson is for you. Fourth, phrases to use with the doctor. Learn how to say phrases like, I have an appointment, I don't feel well, and much more. Fifth, summer plans conversation lesson. Can you talk about your summer plans? Such as go travel, relax at the beach, or stay at home and sit on the internet. You will with this 1-minute lesson. Access it right now. Sixth, free audiobooks. Unlock our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to any device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 31% off Premium or Premium Plus with the Pretty Big Deal sale. So, to get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire.
Buongiorno. Hello. Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Hello. Buongiorno, mi chiamo Paola Rossi. Hello, my name is Paola Rossi. Buongiorno, mi chiamo Paola Rossi. Mi scusi. Excuse me. Mi scusi. Mi scusi. Excuse me. Mi scusi, questo dovrebbe essere il mio posto. Excuse me, this is supposed to be my seat. Mi scusi, questo dovrebbe essere il mio posto. Mi dispiace. I'm sorry. Mi dispiace. Mi dispiace. I'm sorry. Mi dispiace, ma non posso venire. I'm sorry, but I can't come. Mi dispiace, ma non posso venire. Buonanotte. Good night. Buonanotte. Buonanotte. Good night. Buonanotte e sogni d'oro. Good night and sweet dreams. Buonanotte e sogni d'oro. Piacere di conoscerti. Nice to meet you. Piacere di conoscerti. Piacere di conoscerti. Nice to meet you. Piacere di conoscerti. Mi chiamo John. Nice to meet you. My name is John. Piacere di conoscerti. Mi chiamo John. Come stai? How are you? Come stai? Come stai? How are you? Ciao Mary, come stai? Hi Mary, how are you doing? Ciao Mary, come stai? Sì, Yes. Sì. Sì. Yes. Sì, è buonissimo. Yes, it's very good. Sì, è buonissimo. No. 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 Non ho domande. No, I don't have any questions. No, non ho domande. Grazie. Thank you. Grazie. Grazie. Thank you. Grazie dell'informazione. Thank you for the information. Grazie dell'informazione. Sono. 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 Sono Sara, piacere. Sara, nice to meet you. Sono Sara, piacere. Arrivederci. Goodbye. Arrivederci. Arrivederci. Goodbye. Arrivederci. Torni presto. Goodbye. Come back soon. Arrivederci. Torni presto. Cattivo. Bad. Cattivo. Cattivo. Bad. Quell'uomo è cattivo e litiga con tutti. That man is bad and argues with everyone. Quell'uomo è cattivo e litiga con tutti. Buono. Good. Buono. Buono. Good. Maria è buona e gentile con tutti. Maria is good and kind to everyone. Maria è buona e gentile con tutti. Bella. Pretty. Bella. Bella. Pretty. La sposa è molto bella. The bride is very pretty. La sposa è molto bella. Brutto. Ugly. Brutto. Brutto. Ugly. Brutta faccia. Ugly face. Brutta faccia. Facile. Easy. Facile. Facile. Easy. È più facile di quello che sembra. It's easier than it seems. È più facile di quello che sembra. Difficile. Difficult. Difficile. Difficile. Difficult. L'inglese è difficile. English is difficult. L'inglese è difficile. Vicino. Near. Vicino. Vicino. Near. Vivo vicino all'università. I live near the university. Vivo vicino all'università. Lontano. Far. Lontano. Lontano. Far. Vivo lontano dall'università. I live far from the university. Vivo lontano dall'università. Piccolo. Small. Piccolo. Piccolo. Small. Molto piccolo. Very small. Molto piccolo. Oggi. Today. Oggi. Oggi. Today. Oggi alle 6:15. Today at 6:15. Oggi alle 6:15. Ieri. Yesterday. Ieri. Ieri. Yesterday. Ieri pomeriggio. Yesterday afternoon. Ieri pomeriggio. Domani. Tomorrow. Domani. Domani. Tomorrow. A domani. See you tomorrow. A domani. Settimana. Week. Settimana. Settimana. Week. Ci sono 7 giorni in una settimana. There are 7 days in a week. Ci sono 7 giorni in una settimana. Anno. Year. Anno. Anno. Year. Un anno. 1 year. Un anno. Secondo. Second. Secondo. Secondo. Second. Per 10 secondi. For 10 seconds. Per 10 secondi. Minuto. minute, minuto, minuto, minute, 3 minuti, 3 minutes, 3 minuti, ora, hour, ora, ora, hour, un'ora, 1 hour, un'ora, orologio, clock, orologio, orologio, clock. L'orologio segna 8 minuti alle 12. The clock reads 8 minutes to 12. L'orologio segna 8 minuti alle 12. In punto. O'clock. In punto. In punto. O'clock. Avremo una riunione alle 3 in punto. We will have a meeting at 3 o'clock. Avremo una riunione alle 3 in punto. Calendario. Calendar. Calendario. Calendario. Calendar. Calendario giornaliero. Day calendar. Calendario giornaliero. Lunedì. Monday. Lunedì. Lunedì. Monday. La settimana lavorativa inizia di lunedì. The work week starts on Monday. La settimana lavorativa inizia di lunedì. Martedì. Tuesday. Martedì. Martedì. Tuesday. Martedì, 1 gennaio. Tuesday, January 1st. Martedì, 1 gennaio. Mercoledì. Wednesday. Mercoledì. Mercoledì. Wednesday. Mercoledì 18. Wednesday, the 18th. Mercoledì 18. Giovedì. Thursday. Giovedì. Giovedì. Thursday. Di giovedì. On Thursday. Di giovedì. Venerdì. Friday. Venerdì. Venerdì. Friday. Venerdì 8 dicembre. Friday, December 8. Venerdì 8 dicembre. Sabato. Saturday. Sabato. Sabato. Saturday. Sabato sera. Saturday night. Sabato sera. Domenica. Sunday. Domenica. Domenica. Sunday. Domenica 17. Sunday the 17th. Domenica 17. Fare. Do. Fare. Fare. Do. Fare i compiti. Do homework. Fare i compiti. Andare. Go. Andare. Andare. Go. Andare dritto. Go straight ahead. Andare dritto. Ridere. Laugh. Ridere. Ridere. Laugh. Ridere a una barzelletta. Laugh at a joke. Ridere a una barzelletta. Delizioso. Delicious. Delizioso. Delizioso. Delicious. Sembra delizioso. It looks delicious. Sembra delizioso. Acqua. Water. Acqua. Acqua. Water. Bere acqua. Drink water. Bere acqua. Tè. Tea. Tè. Tè. Tea. Bere tè. Drink tea. Bere tè. Caffè. Coffee. Caffè. Caffè. Coffee. Tazza di caffè. Cup of coffee. Tazza di caffè. Birra. Beer. Birra. Birra. Beer. Lattina di birra. Can of beer. Lattina di birra. Vino. Wine. Vino. vino, wine, vino rosso, red wine, vino rosso, manzo, beef, manzo, manzo, beef, bistecca di manzo, beef stick, bistecca di manzo, pollo, chicken, pollo, pollo, chicken, pollo arrosto, roast chicken, pollo arrosto, maiale, pork, maiale, maiale, pork, costolette di maiale, pork chops, costolette di maiale, pesce, fish, pesce, pesce, fish, pesce crudo, raw fish, pesce crudo, agnello, lamb, agnello, agnello, lamb, carré di agnello, rack of lamb, carré di agnello, dottore, doctor, dottore, dottore, doctor, sono un dottore, I am a doctor, sono un dottore, agente di polizia, police officer, agente di polizia, agente di polizia, police officer, agente di polizia in uniforme, police officer in uniform, agente di polizia in uniforme, insegnante, teacher, insegnante, insegnante, teacher, insegnante di inglese, English teacher, insegnante d'inglese, impiegato, employer, impiegato, impiegato, employer, impiegata, female employer, impiegata, venire, come, venire, venire, come, venire verso, come towards, venire verso, Vedere. Sì. Vedere. Vedere. Sì. Vedere qualcosa. See something. Vedere qualcosa. Preparare. Make. Preparare. Preparare. Make. Preparare il caffè. Make coffee. Preparare il caffè. Usare. Use. Usare. Usare. Use. Usare una webcam. Use a webcam. Usare una webcam. Potere. Can. Potere. Potere. Can. Poter mangiare. Can eat. Poter mangiare. Zero. 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 Numero zero. Number zero. Numero zero. Uno. One. Uno. Uno. One. Un'ora. 1 hour. Un'ora. Due. Two. Due. Due. Two. Dura 2 settimane. 2 weeks long. Dura 2 settimane. 3. Free. 3. 3. Free. Sono le 3 in punto. It is 3 o'clock. Sono le 3 in punto. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4 angoli. 4 corners. 4 angoli. 5. 5. 5. 5. 5. 5 mele. 5 apples. 5 mele. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6. 6 cose. 6 things. 6 cose. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7 giorni su 7. 7 days out of 7. 7 giorni su 7. 8. 8. 8. 8. 8. Un ragno ha 8 zampe. A spider has 8 legs. Un ragno ha 8 zampe. 9. 9. 9. 9. 9. 9 piani. 9 floors. 9 piani. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10. 10 pezzi. 10 pieces. 10 pezzi. Venditore. Salesman. Venditore. Venditore. Salesman. È un venditore. He is a salesman. È un venditore. Dirigente. Manager. Dirigente. Dirigente. Manager. Il dirigente di fabbrica sta fornendo istruzioni. The factory manager is giving instructions. Il dirigente di fabbrica sta fornendo istruzioni. Cuoco. Cook. Cuoco. Cuoco. Cook. Capocuoco. Head chef. Capocuoco. Ingegnere. Engineer. Ingegnere. Ingegnere. Engineer. Sono un ingegnere. I am an engineer. Sono un ingegnere. Programmatore. Programmer. Programmatore. Programmatore. Programmer. Sono un programmatore. I am a programmer. Sono un programmatore. Infermiera. Nurse. Infermiera. Infermiera. Nurse. La donna è un'infermiera. The woman is a nurse. La donna è un'infermiera. Corpo. Body. Corpo. Corpo. Body. Corpo umano. Human body. Corpo umano. Testa. Head. Testa. Testa. Head. Testa e collo. Head and neck. Testa e collo.
Stare, stare, essere, essere. I think that you all know the verb essere, but let's see it quickly. Io sono, tu sei, lui è, noi siamo, voi siete, essi sono. Io sono, tu sei, lui è, noi siamo, voi siete, essi sono. While on the other side we have io sto, tu stai, lui sta, noi stiamo, voi state, essi stanno. This st in the beginning may be a bit tricky, but practice a bit and then you'll master it. Even though we could simply say that essere is to be and stare is to stay, we use it as in I am, and they're not interchangeable, as I said before. There have been many tries to make rules on those, but the best way is just to memorize the expressions. So let's see together some of the uses that we have for both of those, okay? And while I would say that essere is way more used, so we don't really have to go through all the examples because it would be anything, right? Io sono italiana, I'm Italian. Io sono alta, I'm tall. It's not true. Io sono stanca, I'm tired. So for many things like physical conditions or like appearance, io sono a casa, I'm at home. All those things where you just use essere without even thinking. Let's instead focus on stare and see that we use that, for example, for physical conditions too, like with health. When you want to say things like I don't feel well, you don't say io sono male, because it sounds like you impersonate evil itself, like you are evil. Io sono male. What you want to say is io sto male. I don't feel good. I feel bad. I feel sick. Io sto male. Come stai? Sto bene. I'm fine. Sto male. I'm not. I'm not fine. Sto così così. I'm so. Okay? Io sono bene. We don't say that. Stare is also used for location, but in a specific time. And I wouldn't say place because location could be anywhere. But yeah, for a specific time. For example, if I say io sto a casa stasera, means that I'm staying at home while there would have been the possibility that I wouldn't have. Wow. So same way as in English, if I say sono a casa, I'm at home, now implies that I may not be in 1 hour or so, right? While if you ask me what are you doing tonight and I say io sto a casa, implies that I'm gonna be at home the whole time, the whole night. Another useful expression that we have with stare is about clothes, like questo vestito mi sta bene. I like how this dress fits me. This dress suits me. Because if I say questo vestito è largo, this dress is too big, largo, è troppo grande, it's a fact, like it is that way, it's too big. While if I just say questo vestito mi sta grande, it looks big on me. Stare in that case, it's different from è, because è describes the thing as it is, stare is just an impression that I have, or that people may have. Like, what do you think about this? Cosa pensi di questo vestito? È bello, it's beautiful, ma non ti sta bene, but it doesn't suit you. So in that case, stare is really useful, and it's something that you would translate with to be in English, right? Like, this jacket is tight on me. La giacca mi sta stretta. It's not just stretta. The jacket is tight, because it's just tight on me. Mi sta stretta. I feel like it's tight on me. Other common expressions with stare include, for example, stare in piedi, to be standing. Okay? Like, oh, please have a seat. Per favore, siediti. No, sto in piedi. No, I'm fine, I'll stand. Stare in piedi. To stay on your legs, basically, on your feet. Stare in piedi. Did you manage to sit on the train? Sei riuscito a sederti sul treno? No, sono stato in piedi tutto il tragitto. No, I've been standing all the way. Or, no, I had to stand the whole journey. Sono stato in piedi. You may end up hearing the verb stare a lot in Italian conversations because it's also the verb that is used for the present continuous tense. So, I'm going, sto andando. Not sono andando, but I am going. Sto andando. Sto mangiando. I'm eating. Tu stai facendo. You are doing something. Loro stanno comprando. They are buying. In that case, you don't have to think about that as stay, but doing something. It really depends on regions too, the way people use stare and essere. For example, in some regions, it's common to say where things are with the verb stare. Where's the spoon? Sta nel cassetto. It's in the drawer. Or where are the spoons? Sono nel cassetto. They are in the drawer. So yeah, stare has a lot of meanings, it's used in a lot of expressions, and it may be confused with to be, so essere, but it's not always interchangeable. That's what I want you to remember from this lesson, okay? State attenti to this. Pay attention to this. State attenti a questo. Pay attention to this. My advice would be to use essere and then just in the expressions that you learned, put stare. I know this is really confusing and it's still confusing for some Italians too, me included. I mean, naturally I would say one or the other, but I don't always stop and think about which one to put, okay? So I would say it will eventually come more natural with time. But for now, I hope I could give you some interesting insights and some interesting examples. Verbi impersonali. I know that I always stress the importance of changing the verb form depending on the pronoun. So for example, io parlo, but tu parli, lui parla. But in this case, these are verbs that have no pronoun. So they don't change. Actually, they only use the third person singular form. Just like in English, impersonal verb use the pronoun it. It rains, it's 9 o'clock. That it though doesn't really refer to anything in particular, right? So impersonal verbs in Italian work the same way, but we are way more minimalistic and don't even use it. Just look at that way. For example, it rains, piove. It's raining, sta piovendo. There is no subject, no it even. There's just the verb, third person singular. There are some verbs that only have the impersonal form, piove, it's raining, nevica, it's snowing, tuona, it thunders, it's thundering. When you need to put those verbs in the past form, the rule says that è, so essere, auxiliary, has to be used. È piovuto, it rained. È nevicato, it snowed. But actually has, so the verb avere is accepted too. Ha piovuto, ha nevicato. So you don't have to think too much about that, luckily, at least. There are some verbs, though, that have an impersonal use, but you know them as normal verbs. That's when things get tricky. But follow me. For example, fare. Io faccio una torta. I make a cake, I bake a cake. Lui fa una torta. Everything works, right? Same third person singular, but without any pronoun. Fa freddo. It's cold. Fa caldo. It's hot. Again, we're talking about weather conditions, so if you think about that, it's easy to think that it doesn't need the pronoun. A really common impersonal expression with the verb fare is fa niente. Fa niente. Meaning it doesn't matter. It literally does nothing. It doesn't matter. For example, oh, sorry, I promised you I would go, but I can't in the end. Scusa, ti ho promesso che sarei andato, ma non posso. Scusa, ti ho promesso che sarei andato, ma non posso. Ah, it doesn't matter. Don't mention it. Don't worry about it. Fa niente. Same example with non importa. It's not of any importance. It doesn't matter. Again, importare as in to matter. Anche se è caro, non importa. Mi serve. Even though it's expensive, it doesn't matter. I need it. non importa. It has no importance. Even when you're walking, for example, and someone bumps into you, and if they're nice, they're like, oh, scusa. You can be like, ah, fa niente. Doesn't matter. No problem. Now, when talking about impersonal verbs, we also have to talk about impersonal expressions in general, because basically you can make any verb impersonal. Same way as in English, someone would say, one has to blah 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 something, or it is that blah blah blah, or you have to, but this you doesn't really mean you, Marco, but you in general, all the people, everyone should do something. We have the same expression with the word si, that takes the place of the pronoun in the third person singular. For example, mangiare. Io mangio, tu mangi, lui mangia, right? He eats. If we don't use he, but si, as a pronoun in this case, si mangia, it just becomes it is eaten or you eat. In Italy, si mangia la pizza. In Italy, people eat pizza. In Italy, pizza is eaten. In Italy, it is common to eat pizza. So it becomes an impersonal expression, really useful and rarely used. So let's look a bit more into it. Probably something that you've been using already, but without noticing, that is an impersonal use of a verb. Come si dice ciao in inglese? How do you say hi in English? Come si dice. That si is the impersonal form. So, how do you say? How is it said? How would people say? Impersonal use. Come si dice casa in inglese? How do you say house in English? In this case, how do you say house in Italian? Casa. Come si dice. If you don't really get the idea of an impersonal pronoun, it may be useful for you to think of it as people. Si beve, people drink. In Italy, people drink wine. In Italia, si beve vino. And like that, any verb can be converted into an impersonal expression. For example, si sa che gli italiani amano la pizza. Si sa, from sapere, to know, che gli italiani amano la pizza. It is known that Italians love pizza. This expression is really common when talking about rules or giving instructions, especially with the word non, so in the negative form. Let's assume I'm telling this to my kids. I'm giving them rules to follow. Non si scrive sui muri. Like, writing on walls won't be accepted. It's not. People shouldn't write on walls. You shouldn't write on walls. Another one. My mom will be so proud of me for remembering all the rules she gave me when I was a kid. But yeah. Non si gioca quando si mangia. You don't play when you're eating. But not you, only you. People in general don't do that. This is the rule. Non si gioca. Giocare. Io gioco, tu giochi, lui gioca. Si. Non si gioca quando si mangia. When eating. When eating, one should not play. When eating, you should not play. But yeah, jokes aside, to sum up, impersonal verbs are made with the third singular form of the verb, and some of them are impersonal only, while some of them are just made impersonal by the expression. And you can make every verb impersonal by using the pronoun si, always with third person singular. I mesi dell'anno. I mesi dell'anno. Mese, singular form, 1 month. Mese. Mesi, plural form, months. Let's go through them together. The first one, of course, January. Gennaio. Gennaio. Gennaio è un mese molto freddo. At least in Italy, I would say. In Italia. Gennaio è un mese molto freddo in Italia. January is a really cold month in Italy. Febbraio è il mese degli innamorati. February is the month of lovers. February is lovers month. Just because there is some Valentine, okay? Otherwise you can say febbraio è un altro mese molto freddo. February is another really cold month. Okay? But febbraio è il mese del carnevale. February is the month of carnival. March, marzo. A marzo si festeggia la festa della donna. In March, Women's Day is celebrated. A marzo si festeggia la festa della donna. Sono nata ad aprile. I was born in April. In fact, aprile is April. Aprile. Be careful, because sometimes if you see the same word but with a different intonation, aprile means open them, while aprile is the month. Okay? And aprire is just the verb to open. It's an R. Aprire. While aprile is the month. Aprile. In aprile c'è il compleanno di Daisy. In April, there's Daisy's birthday. I'll be waiting for your wishes. Maggio is May. Maggio. There is a way of saying with this, kind of old, but anyway, it goes like this. Aprile fa I fiori e maggio ha gli onori. So even though it's in April that flowers start to bloom, it's in May that everyone appreciates that. So even though it's April who's doing the job, May has the honor. Aprile fa I fiori, maggio ha gli onori. So yeah, maggio was May. Then we have giugno for June. Giugno. Be careful about this, it's not giugno, it's giugno. A giugno finisce la scuola. In June, schools close. The term is over, basically. It's summer vacation. A giugno finisce la scuola. Luglio. Here too, I often hear luglio or stuff like that. I know it's hard, but practice. Luglio. Giugno, June, luglio, July. Luglio. Luglio è perfetto per andare al mare. Luglio è perfetto per andare al mare. July is perfect to go to the sea. Agosto, August, agosto, pretty similar, just different pronunciation. Agosto. Agosto è il mese più caldo. August is the hottest month. Again, at least in Italy. Agosto è il mese più caldo. Settembre. A settembre inizia la scuola. So if school closed in June, they start again in September. A settembre inizia la scuola. Ottobre, like 8. A fine ottobre si festeggia Halloween. A fine ottobre si festeggia Halloween. At the end of October, Halloween is celebrated. Ottobre. Then we have November. A novembre piove molto. In November, it rains a lot. A novembre piove molto. Now, I don't know if this is true. Again, it depends on where you are. And then we have December. December is the most wonderful time of the year, and we all know why, because there's Christmas. Dicembre è il periodo più bello dell'anno. Dicembre è il periodo più bello dell'anno. You may agree or disagree, but it's just an example. On the contrary, let me know which is your favorite month. Quale è il tuo mese preferito? Quale è il tuo mese preferito? As last thing, let me teach you a filastrocca, which in English is like doggerel or nursery rhyme, I would say. Anyway, a way of saying that we have to remember how many days in 1 month. It may or may not help you in remembering months as well, but it's really common in Italian and everyone knows it, so if you want to impress us, remember this. 30 giorni a novembre con aprile, giugno e settembre. Di 28 ce n'è uno, tutti gli altri ne han 31. Now I know it may sound difficult, but let's look at it. 30 giorni a novembre. So November has 30 days. Con aprile, giugno e settembre. Together with April, June and September. Di 28, with 28 days, ce n'è uno. There's only one. February. That's the answer, February. Febbraio. Anyway, tutti gli altri, all the others, ne han 31. Have 31 days. 30 giorni a novembre, con aprile, giugno e settembre. Di 28 ce n'è uno, tutti gli altri ne han 31. How do you like it? I guess it could turn into a tongue twist as well. Up to you. I say it once more, slowly. 30 giorni a novembre, con aprile, giugno e settembre. Di 28 ce n'è uno, tutti gli altri ne han 31. I numeri ordinali. I numeri ordinali. You have to learn them by heart, but after 10 it gets easier. Also, first things first, you have to remember that the ordinal number changes depending on the name it refers to. It's easier than it seems. Let's look at them together. Primo. Primo. First. As I was saying, there is primo referring to a male and prima referring to a female. Don't confuse it with the word prima in the meaning of before, okay? So for example, Giovanni è il primo della lista. Giovanni è il primo della lista. Giovanni is a male, so he is primo, the first of the list. While Giovanna, female, è la prima della lista. Giovanna è la prima della lista. Giovanna, female, so prima. So the ending changes depending on the noun it refers to. Second is secondo or seconda. Domani entro alla seconda ora. Domani entro alla seconda ora. Tomorrow I'll go to school from the second term on. So from dalla seconda ora. Second term. Ora is female, so seconda. Otherwise it would be secondo. Third, terzo or terza. È la terza volta che dici la stessa cosa. It's the third time you're saying the same thing. È la terza, and that was me about the ordinal numbers changing at the end, but anyway, è la terza volta che dici la stessa cosa. It's the third time you're saying the same thing. Fourth, quarto or quarta. Quarto, quarta. Here, a common expression is sei partito in quarta, which literally means that you started with the fourth gear. So in English it would be you hit the ground running. So you really went for it, like you are into it. Sei partito in quarta. You started with the fourth gear. Quarta. Because marcia, which is the gear, quarta, marcia, is female. Okay? So even though the first three numbers are different from their cardinal version, uno, primo, due, secondo, tre, terzo, As you saw with quarto, so from quattro, from here on it gets similar, so it's easier to remember. From cinque, in fact, we have quinta or quinto. Mio figlio va in quinta elementare. Mio figlio va in quinta elementare. My son is, I don't know which grade would it be in America or in other countries, but 5th year of elementary school in Italy. Quinta elementare, because it refers to the class, right? Which is female. Otherwise, you would say quinto anno. Hai il sesto senso. From sei, sesto, or sesta. You have a sixth sense. Il sesto senso. Hai il sesto senso. Sorry for choosing both words with S. From sette, settimo, or settima. Domenica è il settimo giorno della settimana. Domenica è il settimo giorno della settimana. Sunday is the 7th day of the week. La domenica. Yay, when you can rest. From otto, we have ottavo or ottava. Agosto è l'ottavo mese dell'anno. August is the 8th month of the year. Agosto è l'ottavo mese dell'anno. While from 9, nono or nona. Nove is the cardinal one, nono is the ordinal one. Abito al nono piano. I live on the 9th floor. Abito al nono piano. And the last irregular one, from 10, decimo. Decimo or decima. And this is really useful because it's also used, for example, when you say 1/10, right? Un decimo. Questa collana dimostra un decimo del suo valore. Questa collana, this necklace, dimostra, shows, looks like, un decimo del suo valore. 1/10 of its value. So it looks cheaper than it is, right? Questa collana dimostra un decimo del suo valore. And from here on, it's easy. I mean, if you know the numbers already. 11, so 11, becomes undicesimo, 11th. Undicesimo. 11 plus esimo. Undicesimo. 12, dodicesimo. 13, tredicesimo. And like this you go on and on. 20, ventesimo. 21, ventunesimo. 22esimo. Trentesimo. Quarantesimo. Cinquantesimo. Sessantesimo. Settantesimo. Ottantesimo. Novantesimo. Really important if you like soccer, because it's the 90th minute. Novantesimo minuto, okay? And centesimo, which is really important because it's 1 cent, basically. That's what you use when you pay. Un centesimo. 2 centesimi. And so on until mille, millesimo. Millesimo. 1000th. Un millesimo di secondo. A millisecond, right? Millesimo.
Access your free language gifts of the month right now. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Being Funny conversation cheat sheet. Want to be able to tell jokes in your target language or tell someone how funny or unfunny they are? You will with this brand new cheat sheet. Second, all the language you need for everyday life. Get all of our best conversation cheat sheets rolled up into one with this gift. Download it right now before it disappears. Third, must-know book vocabulary. If you love reading and want to talk about books, then this next 1-minute lesson is for you. Fourth, phrases to use with the doctor. Learn how to say phrases like, I have an appointment, I don't feel well, and much more. Fifth, Summer Plans Conversation Lesson. Can you talk about your summer plans? Such as go travel, relax at the beach, or stay at home and sit on the internet. You will with this 1-minute lesson. Access it right now. 6th, free audiobooks. Unlock our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to any device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, get 31% off Premium or Premium Plus with the Pretty Big Deal sale. So, to get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now before they expire. Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So, click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is the power of mistakes. Have you ever made a mistake in your target language while talking with a native speaker? Maybe you said the wrong word. Maybe you misconjugated a verb. When you make a mistake, you usually don't forget about it, right? Well, that's the power of mistakes. And in today's episode, you're going to find out why making mistakes is crucial to learning a language. Do you know the most common adverbs of frequency? You will with this 1-minute lesson. Learn how to say rarely, always, often, sometimes, and much more in your target language. 4th, must know summer clothes vocab. Do you know how to say t-shirt or shorts in your target language? If you don't, you can learn how. This 1-minute lesson will give you all the words you need for summer clothing. 5th, the top 50 adjectives for personalities. Can you describe your personality? This next bonus teaches you 50 must-know adjectives for personalities, so you can talk about yourself in your target language. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. Okay, today's topic is how remembering your mistakes can help you learn faster. First, take a moment and think of a time when you made a mistake. Maybe you were at work. Maybe you were at school. Maybe you were shopping or in another public place. We can all probably clearly remember many mistakes we've made. We also remember the reactions of the people around us. Some people are understanding. Some people aren't so understanding. But why do we remember these situations so clearly? Psychologically speaking, negative things tend to impact us more than positive things. For example, if we're asked to choose between gaining friends or gaining money and losing friends or losing money, we'll choose not to lose friends or lose money, not to gain. This is called loss aversion. We tend to avoid losing more than we work on gaining. We spend time thinking about our negative past experiences to avoid them in the future. Because of this, negative events, like making mistakes, stay in our minds for a very long time. And this happens in language learning. If you make a language mistake while chatting with a native speaker, it'll probably be hard to forget. Yes, it's true that when we're learning another language, we don't always know when we've made a mistake. But when we realize we've used the wrong word, used grammar incorrectly, spelled something wrong, or similar, we tend to remember the situation vividly. In some languages, just a tiny change in pronunciation, tone, or writing could make a big difference, so mistakes are a big source of worry for many learners. But the fact that mistakes are very hard for us to forget can be a powerful tool when learning a language. We want to avoid the feeling of embarrassment that comes after a mistake, so we work hard to correct ourselves. Past mistakes can motivate us to try harder. We can use our mistakes as a tool in our language learning. But we can't make these emotionally powerful mistakes by reading a textbook or even by taking a lesson with a teacher. The only way you can make these mistakes is by speaking in real conversations and messing up. So, what can you take away from this? Let's jump into the second part: how to use mistakes in your language learning. We can give advice like go ahead and make mistakes, but that's easier said than done. Here are 3 tips to help you make the most of your mistakes. 1. Speak in your target language as much as possible. Why? Because part of the learning process is making mistakes. Accept that mistakes are going to happen. If you're not making any mistakes ever, then you're probably not challenging yourself. 2. Look for opportunities to speak. Many learners have trouble finding public places to practice the language they're studying. See if there are language groups in your community or at your school. If you have trouble with that, look online and be creative. You don't need to search for groups specifically for language learners. See if you can find a hobby discussion in your target language. Maybe you'll find a news discussion group. Think outside the box. Find somewhere to practice and make mistakes. When you do mess up, you'll probably remember it. 3. Build on your experiences. Think carefully about your conversations after you have them, and work to make them longer each time. If you made a mistake in your first conversation, think about how to fix it. If you said only a few sentences in your first discussion, work to speak for 15 or 30 seconds on the next discussion. Challenge yourself. Many learners have trouble finding opportunities to speak that work with their schedule and their level. If you're not sure where else you can practice, you can consider hiring a tutor. If you're a Premium Plus member on our website, you can practice with your teacher. It's still important, where possible, to practice and make mistakes in real-life situations. This will help you to more carefully reflect on your conversations and work to improve. It isn't quite the same as studying with a textbook or a hired tutor. This strong desire to avoid making a mistake will help you work to improve. You'll be motivated to try harder. This can help you learn faster. So, thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. So, you decided to learn a new language. At first, the idea seemed exciting. You bought a phrasebook, dictionary, and a subscription to an online class, ready to dive headfirst into the language. For the first day or two, all was well. You gained ground quickly, learning a few basic phrases and words. A week before, learning that language was just a dream, but now you're actually doing it. Then, the third and fourth day roll around. The excitement is wearing off. You encouraged yourself to continue, and another week or two goes by, but with a lot less progress. Suddenly, learning a new language doesn't fill you with excitement anymore. Now it feels more like dread. Sometimes it feels like you're drowning in grammatical cases, verb conjugations, and wonky pronunciation. It all seems too much to handle, so you start to think about giving up. But we encourage you not to give up. Learning a foreign language is difficult. We won't pretend like it isn't. But that doesn't mean you can't do it. Sometimes you just need to take a step back, reevaluate your approach, and come back to the language with a different perspective. In this video, we'll look at 4 tips for when learning a new language feels overwhelming. Number 1, set aside a designated study time. Consistency is key when learning a foreign language. Studying 15 minutes 7 days a week will benefit you more than cramming in 2 hours 1 day a week. Set aside an amount of time that works best for you. If you can afford to spend an hour every day learning, that's awesome. Go for it. But don't feel bad if you can't spend that much time. Even 10 or 15 minutes a day goes a long way. Breaking up your learning into manageable time segments will relieve a lot of the stress that can come with studying a new language. Learning is not a race. Go at your own pace and try not to compare your progress with anyone else's. Number 2, take it one bite at a time. Now that you have your schedule under control, it's time to focus on what you'll actually be studying. It's recommended that every 1 to 2 weeks you focus on learning a very specific piece of the language. It could be a conjugation group, a case, tense, or a collection of theme vocabulary. Whatever you choose, hone in on it and do your best to feel comfortable with it before you move on to something else. Ever heard the saying, "How do you eat an elephant?" Focusing on one thing at a time helps you break the language into digestible chunks. Number 3, expose yourself to the language in different ways. Don't just sit around reading about grammar all day. Obviously, knowledge of grammar is important, but you want to spice up your practice as much as possible. In addition to grammatical study, try to mix in a combination of reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Try to practice reading by either translating a simple article into your native language, or maybe if you're a beginner, pick up a children's book in your target language. For writing, you can try to write out a fictional conversation between you and yourself, even. Use the phrases you know to create a mock conversation, and don't use any words you can't think of or you don't remember. To practice speaking, you can find native speakers locally at a language club or at a meetup. You can also find them online in a language exchange. For listening, a great podcast should do the trick. Spread out each type of practice, listening, reading, speaking, and writing, across your regular language study schedule. This will give you a balanced experience in the language and should help keep things interesting. This method also works well when you use it to focus on a single aspect of the language like we talked about above. Number 4, set mini goals, not just big ones. If your only language learning goal is to be fluent, you're likely setting yourself up for disappointment. While speaking fluently can be your ultimate goal, it shouldn't be your only one. Try to set mini goals, month by month and week by week. It could be something simple. Learn 20 new verbs, practice a new case, or speak with 3 native speakers. As long as it's specific and reasonable to achieve in a shorter amount of time, it should work fine. Not having mini goals alongside your ultimate goal is a lot like sprinting across a huge open field. There's no reference point, so for much of the time it feels like you're not any closer to your goal. It's not that you're not moving forward, it just feels like you're not. Without any trees or buildings to run past, it seems like you're running in place. Mini goals are like the trees and buildings of your language race. They help you see that you're moving forward and give you a sense of accomplishment. The desire for perfection can get in the way of your progress. Don't freak out when you struggle to speak or make a mistake. It's all a part of the learning process. Also, don't be afraid to speak, even if you know what you'll say won't be totally correct. It's better to do your best to communicate in the language and get it wrong than to never try at all. Learning a new language isn't always easy. In fact, oftentimes it's very hard. Don't let that discourage you, though. Use these tips to help keep you focused yet unstressed in your language learning. A little perseverance will go a long way. Before long, you'll be speaking better than you may have thought was possible. Reading in a foreign language is great, but a big challenge related to reading is that you often need a high level of fluency before it gets really fun. And if a book isn't fun, then you're not going to want to read it. The entire point of sitting down with a book is to enjoy it and have a good time being absorbed in the story or learning the information. And that's just not going to happen if you need to look up every second word. It'll take you out of the story, and it will feel like a chore, like an assignment from school where you have to read the book for a class. But there is a resource that you might not know about that can really help your skills: bilingual books. In this video, we'll look at how to supercharge your vocabulary with bilingual reading. This is a simple solution that will make reading, especially at the beginner levels, easier and fun. These are books that have your target language on the left page and your native language on the right. But how do you use it? Well, it's all in the name. You read a book in 2 languages at once: the language that you're learning plus the language that you're fluent in. There are a few different formats for bilingual books, but the most common one is the one previously mentioned. You have a book that has your foreign language on one side and your native language on the other. It's also possible to find stories that are presented bilingually, paragraph by paragraph. The principle is the same, but the information is just in more bite-sized chunks, so your eyes need to travel less to read both texts. The great thing about bilingual reading is that you can quickly switch between languages, and the translation is presented to you, so you don't need to try to distinguish between the 10 variants of a word that your dictionary offers, which brings us to the main advantage. Bilingual reading is great for building your initial vocabulary. When you first try reading in a new language, you'll probably find that you need a relatively high level of fluency before you can make a strong connection with the words on the page. Reading is a lot of fun if you already know about 80% of the words, as you can guess the meaning of another 15% from context, and then look up the remaining few words you do not understand. But if you're starting out, you might know only 10% of the words. That's where bilingual reading can help a lot. Here's a way to use a bilingual book. Read a sentence first in your target language. See if you understand it. If you do, think about the meaning of some of the key words. Then, quickly glance on the other side of the page and check the translation. This way, you'll be able to have fun reading and learn contextual vocabulary at the same time. Let's look at why it works well if you're learning a language at home. If you're taking language classes, then your teacher sometimes supports you in a similar way to the translated page. When you're reading a text with your teacher, you can ask them questions whenever you do not understand something. They'll give you a translation quickly and can share other ways in which a word can be used. But if you're learning from home, you don't have that advantage. Bilingual reading offers the same benefits, as you can quickly check the translation of a sentence and see what each word means. The main goal of bilingual books is to bridge the gap between the beginner and intermediate to more advanced levels. They can help set you up to read real books without any translations. Some language purists might recommend you read only stories that were originally written in your target language, but any book you enjoy is best to encourage your studies. Use bilingual reading to improve your vocabulary and reading comprehension skills, until you get so good that you don't need it anymore. It doesn't matter what language you're learning. Bilingual reading works for every language. The principles of language learning don't change, only the implementation does. You also don't really need too much knowledge at the start. If you like a real challenge, then you could even start reading some simple bilingual stories without any prior experience in a language. However, just as with other language programs and courses, the more people who speak a specific language, the easier it'll be to find bilingual books. Why is speaking the #1 weakness for most language learners? Some time ago, we sent out a survey to find out a little more about you. We asked about what you like, what you don't like, your strengths and your weaknesses. One question asked you to rate your abilities in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Over 70% of people surveyed answered that their biggest weakness is speaking. In this video, you'll find out why speaking is a common weakness. You'll also learn 6 ways you can start improving your speaking skills right now. This is a common issue for language learners. But why is speaking the #1 weakness for most learners? It's pretty simple when you consider that you get better at what you focus on. You get better at what you focus on. When people start learning a language, they usually start with reading. Most learners start with textbooks. Learners taking their first class probably spend most of their time doing homework and reviewing information in their textbook, spending maybe only 30 minutes a week or so repeating words in class. If you spend most of your time reading, you'll get better at reading, but your speaking skills won't grow. It's like exercising just one muscle. That single muscle will get stronger, but the other ones, which are ignored, stay small. This is why speaking is such a common weakness for learners. If you want to improve your speaking skills, you need to spend more time speaking. Here are 6 ways you can start right now. #1, get a native speaker tutor to practice with. A common issue is most people don't have access to teachers or native speakers, or they just don't have the time to meet with one. But with our Premium Plus plan, you get your very own on-site teacher. You can practice speaking by recording yourself and having them review it. One popular tactic is to talk about your day. To do this, send 3 recordings, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 1 at night. Your teacher will review your recordings and then give you corrections and feedback. #2, get conversation-based lessons in the lesson library. If you visit your lesson library, you can sort lessons by conversation, reading, writing, vocab, grammar, or culture. So select conversations, and you'll see the lessons that expose you to conversations and get you speaking the language. #3, read out loud. While you're listening to a lesson and reading along with the notes, try reading out loud. Then reread and speed up your tempo. If you're reading out loud, you're practicing your speaking skills. And by increasing your speed, you'll also be able to talk faster and with confidence. Do this again and again until you can speak faster. #4, prepare things to say ahead of time. Most learners, especially beginners, run out of things to say. But if you prepare lines ahead of time, you won't have to worry about this. Start speaking with prepared lines from our 3-minute video lessons, top 25 questions lessons, survival phrases lessons, and other lessons that you'll find in the lesson library. #5, shadow conversations. This means you should repeat the dialogues as you hear them. In every lesson, you learn a new conversation, so try to shadow the conversation line by line. Premium and Premium Plus users use the dialogue tool with this method, and you'll master conversations faster. #6, review again and again. Regular review is essential to mastery. Many learners don't review. If you review and repeat lines again and again, you'll speak better, faster, and with more confidence. Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.